individuals design and achieve their ideal lives. He also serves as the executive director of Rio Stan Media and the principal partner at Rio Consultants, contributing to media and consulting industries. A strong advocate to collaboration and innovation, Rio believes in partnerships as the key to success, emphasizing teamwork over competition in leadership and business. So join me to welcome Emmanuel Rotiba. With your emoji, your emoji, your love emoji, join me to welcome Emmanuel. I wish it was a physical event so that we can actually now. Good to see you, Emmanuel. I followed you.
Thank you so much, man.
I followed you for some time. Edward talked about you, and I think Alan also spoke about you. So I know that and friends can, endorse somebody. I know that person has to be, somebody you want to listen to. So it's good to have you around.
Those are my mentors, Alan and Edward. There are people who are so dear to me. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Wow, thank you so much for having to join us this morning. So let's quickly talk about your journey into leadership and transformation. I believe that every great leader has a story, a journey that is filled with challenges, pivotal moments and defining experiences. And, it's obvious that your path to leadership and transformation speaking is undoubtedly inspiring because I've checked you, I've gone through your pages, both on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I'm sure you'll be wondering how I got, that for you to know that really stopped you, So what was the turning point that led you to this work? And what fuels your passion for helping others grow?
All right. Thank you. Should I call you
Shokwe?
Yeah. All right. Okay. Before I take the question, I really want to say thank you so much for the opportunity to be a blessing to the community. And also thank Pastor Femi also for the privilege, and also my very big brothers and Edward and Mr. Allen. I really appreciate your recommendations. We've been from a way back, and it's been an inspiring journey. So I'm really honored. Thank you so much. And for everyone here, welcome, and thank you also for listening to me in advance. All right. To answer the question, my journey spans from a challenge I had years back. I was in secondary school, and I'm not always afraid to say it, I was very, very poor in mathematics. Some of you who are here who knows what I mean. Mathematics was a big deal for some people, right?
That's it.
And I was just in that space of that time where a lot of things running through my mind, and I was not just having it at all. I just wanted something different, something like a breakthrough. A young boy, I was in SS3 then, and one fateful day, some group of educators walked into our class, right? And I saw them. I was not interested, I was never interested in this line of, but then I sat down because they wanted to speak to SS3 students only, right? And they sat down, they spoke. One of them specifically started mentioning mathematics. That some of you might be here, you might not, you might be afraid of XYZ, give it a try, give it a, this and that. And I think that was the turning point for me, right? It was a game changer because after that single day, I had a mind transformation reset. Then I realized that sometimes what we think we can't do is actually already in us. We can actually do them, but we just need somebody to talk us through to becoming what we are meant to become.
That's right.
And at that phase in time, I said, there are so many thousands of people like me out there who are also feeling so little. And this takes me back to remember, I don't know if you watched the movie of Simba and the Lion King.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And when Simba went to to lap water, he saw an image of his father.
True.
But he was small, but the image in the water looked so big. Then he realized that this could be my potential. This is the mindset. So oftentimes it's a mindset thing. So I said to myself from that henceforth that I think I want to be involved in mind transformation, in life transformation, and also help millions of people out there who could be in that box, feeling so little, but yet they are so big. It's about the mindset change. So this gave me a reason to say, this is actually something I want to do. Then to buttress it all, then I realized in my journey that, sometimes God allows us to go through certain situations because He just wants us to see that this is the test of the process. And this is an assignment for you to manage in this generation. So this was actually my journey. And ever since then, I have always committed my life, about 10 years now, committed my life, my resources to transforming minds and raising leaders and global impact across the countries.
Wow. Amazing, Emmanuel. You said 20 years. Wow. I think we are blessed to have you. We are blessed to have you around today, just to glean from your wealth of wisdom. Thank you so much for that brief, introduction to your background. And honestly, we are excited to have you here. So let's quickly dive in already. I believe that growth is essential for both life and business, right? But true scale up isn't just about getting bigger. If you know what I mean by that, it's not
Absolutely.
just about, being big, having blown, that kind of a thing. It's actually about getting better, more efficient, and more impactful. And so when we talk about scaling up, what does it mean to you? And why do you think it is crucial for individuals and businesses to embrace the mindset to scale up?
Thank you, Shokwe. To be honest, let me just give you a quick background. When I saw the flyer, something just came to my mind because I was in the process of hosting a similar, like not like a webinar, but I host just some people together just to talk, right? And it was almost in line with what I had in mind to say.
Wow.
Scale up to me means the power of more.
The
power of more. And if you want more, which is growth, you have to be in that capacity to take more in. I'll tell you, the behind the scene, the big question of growth is why.
That's right.
What drives you? What drives your desire to want to move from point A to point B? Of course, my biggest desire for the power of more is vision. Vision is your ability to have a mental picture and a picture, right, of the future. And this is me saying, you see people who have great vision, who really want growth. Now, take the instance of Facebook, as an instance. A few days ago, I was doing a research and I saw Mike Zuckerberg's humble beginning, where he was talking to his friends in a small room and all. Now, who could imagine that it will become a big conglomerate like this, unifying the world with a tap of the mobile phone? Now, the people who grow, who want more, always have a why at the background of whatever they do. Because there comes a time where everything looks dark, where the desire to go front becomes a little bit stunted. The pain of the process will come in and set in. But what makes you go further will not even be the money you want to generate, but what drives you, what is your why? And that is why in the process, I always say, you must always connect your vision to purpose and purpose to profits. Vision to purpose, purpose to profits.
Purpose to profit.
Because the moment you have a vision, you must understand that, is this in line with purpose? And the moment you are set in purpose, you must ask the question, am I profiting from what God has called me to do? Sometimes profit is not always by monetary terms.
That's right.
Profits could also be by gaining people, by gaining influence, by having the capacity to speak and people listen. That's profit. And so in a nutshell, I always tell people that I want money, not because I desire so much money, but I need money for the things I really want to do. Recently, I was in Germany just a few weeks ago for launching our Design Your Life in Germany. And I've always had this mindset that if I put a price tag on some of this fee, will people pay XYZ? So I had this talk with some of my mentors and some friends, and they said, I want to do this in Germany. I've been going to Germany for some time, but I've never had a conference. So I said, let me do it this way. I got the company. I began to scale and scheme and strategize, and eventually I got a company. We broke out some deals and everything, and I put a price tag of $2,000 on my fee, and knowing that this conference would be for some selected few, and the turnout was massive, 183 people.
Wow.
And I calculated and I did the math quickly when they told me about it from Nigeria. And I said, I am coming to that city. Don't worry.
Yeah, what's money? Good money.
And now the reason why I wanted that so heavily was not because of yes, I do. But then what it would make me do, the people I met was amazing. So the big question of growth, scaling up, is what is your why? Now, I quickly want to touch on something quickly on also the power of more. Is the fact that let your first impression, be the very essence of your being. In the process of you gaining more, being more, growth and everything, people meet you for the first time, it will tell if they want to be in that circle, if they want to be in that circle or not. And I always say to people oftentimes, you can never be more without people enabling you.
That's it.
I have been a product of mentorship. I have also devoted myself to a lot of young people, right? But I've learned in the process of things, you would always need people to go to be more. Yeah. Who are the people talking about you in your rooms you can't have access to? Who are the people fighting your cause where you don't even have a mouth to say something? I was in Lagos also late last year at NIA, this one leadership bootcamp. And Mr. Nii said, I'm having this event, Emmanuel XYZ. I said, Mr. Nii, I'm going to be in Lagos in a hotel with you 3 days before the event.
Wow.
It was shocked. I flew in from Abuja to Lagos and I was with him while they were setting up and he said, why did you come? I said, I understand the power of mentorship. And you can never step into the space you want to be without you seeing those who have done it and how they have done it.
That's it.
So I went there not because I just want to go earlier enough. I also want to learn the process of becoming. So in your process of becoming, you have to understand the ropes, learn the process from those who have been where you are and already achieved the result you want to achieve. I know I have some other point, but I know our time is not here, so I just leave it like that. I see about maybe later on. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. That was excellent. Your answer was concise and comprehensive. Even in the short time, I've been able to, pick one or two things. You need people who have been there to be there. My husband always says that you need someone who has been there to be there. Thank you so much. And you also talked about knowing your why. If you don't know your why, there's no way you can scale up. Because, without the presence of the why, sometimes it's a scale down because you just get carried away by everything that comes your way. So knowing the why is very, very important. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that amazing response. And so we'll just continue. I believe that we're getting something from what Emmanuel has been saying. So Emmanuel, I understand that many people aspire to expand, their influence. But obstacles, it could be internal, it could be external. I know that a lot of us have been complaining about the economy, about things have been expensive, things are this, things are that, and some of these are obstacles that hold people back. Sometimes it could even be fear. It could be self-doubt. It could be, a lack of strategy. It could also be imposter syndrome, and these barriers can be tough to actually break through, to actually scale up. So I want to ask you, Emmanuel, what are some of the most common challenges, that people face in growing their influence or in scaling up, and how can they overcome these challenges?
All right. the challenge, I mean, there are numerous challenges to growth, to be honest, right? There are numerous challenges to growth, from fear of failing to the low power of perceived personality. I call it the power of perceived personality. And I'll explain it in clear terms, right? You know, a lot of people always want to grow, right? But oftentimes they jump. Now, in the law of nature, if you jump up, you will always come down. But if you grow up, right? If you grow up, you will understand that growth, something is waging you. There's the foundation, and my current height. Exactly, my current height at the moment. I can't be shorter than I am right now anymore because I've grown up, right? But it also takes a lot of process to become who I am today. I always sometimes share some of my story. I said, do you know that I had sold sachet water in Lagos for my mom on the street?
Wow.
You know, and that is one aspect of my growth, because I also got to a point that says, this is not the kind of life I want to live. This is not the kind of, being I want. And so people get afraid to fail. Failure is not a good thing. We all know that. But oftentimes in our process of becoming, we often face challenges and obstacles. Like Fela will always tell me when I say or visit or have one-on-one session with him or sit down with him, he always ask me, say, so what do you see when you see obstacles? Do you see opportunities or do you see barriers? Your interpretation of this situation will determine how fast and how well you go. So the question you would always ask is, why in the process of growth, do I really want to go fast or do I want to go far? It's always the question I ask myself. Do you really want to go fast or you want to go far? And in the process of growth, I have always taken the challenges that faces me as an opportunity to grow. I say, whatever I face right now, I mark it up and said, this thing, if I face it again, I know what to do. Now, the fear of failure. It's not asking people to fail, but it's asking people to say, embrace the process, love the process, that someday, somehow, somebody will need that same process you have gone through to become better. That when you share your story of triumph, it will shine light on another person's path. Because in actual sense, growth is not just for you alone. It's for the people God has placed in your life. Because some way, somehow, people will always come that would need the level of experience you have gone through. That they don't need to fall into the same pitfall that you have come out of. And then, this is why it is always important to always trust and understand the process. Now, secondly, the power of perceived personality. People want to grow their influence, and influence is the product, of growth.
Yeah.
Influence is the product of growth, and it's greatly about leadership. It's greatly about leadership. Great leaders influence people positively, but the barrier to growth, the barrier to some of this sometimes is how people perceive you. I realized that the moment people began to perceive me in a different light, I began to get into rooms that were even higher than me because of the power of perceived personality. So you must also work on your personality as business people, as career-minded people, that in the process of becoming, what do people think I am and what do people think I stand for? It impacts businesses, it impacts career, it impacts growth. All of these systems are very important, but above all, never be afraid of the process. If failure happens, let it be a stepping stone. And in the process of adversity, understand that there's always a story in every adversity that can bring about triumph and shed light to the next person. And not just only you alone, but the next thing and the next assignment you will do. And lastly, growth is in seasons, right? I always believe for every season of life, you will always face some level of obstacles. That is one mindset I've always had, And this simply means you have to be ready. So people must always come out of those idea that it must always be a bed of roses every time. No, you must also understand that what happens. And like one of my mentors, Eric Thomas, will say that people get easily broken because they never thought they could even be broken at all. You get so easily broken, or you feel so bad in the process because you never even believe you could be broken at any point at all. And not by breaking down completely, but saying that allow time for one or two errors in the process and learn from it. There is no best growth that would happen without experience. Sometimes it doesn't have to be personal experience. It could be learned experience.
Learned experience. And that's wisdom.
And for me, that's the best wisdom. I don't want to go through the pain somebody else has went through if I know that this is what you've gone through.
Exactly.
I can learn from you, from what you have gone through, and avoid the pitfall and have a faster pace. So the best thing to do in life oftentimes, right, is to always learn that in the process, there are situations, but have the mindset of learned experience. It will always guide your path.
Wow. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. You've said a lot. You know, I was actually, you know, going through, maybe I would say that God was taking me through this lesson personally. And, you know, sometimes the way God, I believe you're a Christian, and, you know, the way God talks to us sometimes, when he wants to explain some things to us, he uses things that he knows we can understand. So he knows that I have a bit of knowledge in Greek because I went to the University of Agriculture School. So he then brought that knowledge of Greek and began to school me on the process of growth. And, you know, God was trying to paint a picture to me and said, Shokwe, if you plant a maize today, you put the seed in the ground, all right? Do you expect the maize to begin to bud in the next day or even the next week? No. What happens is that the seed dies first and then it begins to bud. And that's the process of growth. But a lot of us usually get wearied, get tired in that process of dying. And then we begin to see it as challenges. All right.
Yeah.
But what you're going through at that point is the process, just like you said. So if you're here and then you're trying to scale up, you're trying to grow your influence, your leadership, it might also be in the area of your business or something. Just understand that it might be the season might just be for some time. You are growing in the process. Even if it appears as if you're failed or you're failing, it's also a form of growth. All right. So somebody's raising up there. And that's my father. My father is in this call. Can you imagine? He's 75-year-old and he's raising up his hand. I think he wants to say something, but that will be at the end of the session where, you know, that will be at the end of the session where we have, you know, questions and then maybe contributions, you know, to answer. So we'll just quickly continue, you know, in the conversation. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I love your response. That was really, really, really amazing and interesting. So let's quickly talk about positioning for greater opportunities. You know, we know that success isn't just about, you know, being talented or being hardworking. You know, I believe that it's also about positioning. You know, I was having a conversation yesterday with Edward, and, you know, the conversation was, you know, about how I was able to access an amazing opportunity, even in a highly competitive environment. And that was a recent one. And it just brings me to that question. So in a crowded marketplace, for example, standing out is essential for both professionals and entrepreneurs. All right. That's you're seeking new opportunities. You want visibility, you want everybody to see you and all of that. So what do you think are the strategies that individuals can use to position themselves for success and then can attract, you know, the right opportunities for them in their field or in their businesses? What are the strategies that individuals can position themselves for success and attract the right opportunities in their fields?
All right, thanks, Shokwe. I would say the very honest truth, you must be ready to sell.
Sell.
Oh, yes, you must be ready. I mean, I always tell these people, I said, in this current dispensation, everyone is a salesman. And I'll tell you what I mean by what I mean by selling, right? The world is large right now. People would only buy what you sell. People would only come to you because they know who you are and what you represent. So you must be willing to position yourself to say, this is my domain, this is who I am. I've made a commitment to myself. I said, whatever I become, whatever I choose to become, right, I would be excellent in it. And now there's something about excellence that always piques my heart. In the midst of everything, people always say, this one is what I want. Because nobody's just mediocre. Even people who are not willing to give so much also love excellent things. So I tell people, the world will only buy what you sell.
That's it.
It's a tool for positioning. Then the question is, what are you selling? And how are you selling? And by sales, I followed. I mean, me and Mr. Edward that had this conversation, about Paul Fo. I'm sure you might have heard about him.
I know.
And he does this sales factory and all. And one day I did one of his sessions, and it changed my mindset completely. You may think I'm a career person. Oh no, I'm not a salesperson. Oh, I'm a pastor. Oh, I don't need to sell. Oh, I'm XYZ. But I realized that in every of the things we do, we are indirectly selling.
That's right.
And by sales, we simply mean that what value are you putting on the table to position yourself? People pay for value. So either you're a career person, you're a business person and all, people pay for the value of what you have. Why is my shirts 5,000 and a Tommy Hilfiger shirt is more expensive?
Yeah.
Is the power of perceived value,
yeah,
and the brand recognition.
That's it.
Because people had the mindset, oh, this is more popular, this is more known. People, they've invested so much in publicity. People know the brand name and everything. Even if I have great quality, people would go for that because there's a value attached to it. So even as a career person, you must be willing to say, this is who I am, this is what I represent and all. Because people would definitely always come in for value. And I also want to say something quickly. What are the strategies to position yourself in this industry? Oh, you must also have the capacity to be in the right network. I have never missed it one day as a person. And I'll quickly make a reference because of, so we could maybe take the next point. While I was in Germany, after my events and all, I had some new persons I connected with, right? And I saw them not just potential clients who I would probably come to speak at the organization. They were corporate leaders, right? But I also saw them as people I need in my circle. Because why? I observed that the level of influence they have in the city where I was, I would need them for subsequent scaling. Now we come to scale up, right? So I realized that network can be a social capital.
I see.
For my next level. And this is why, if you really don't be in a circle because you want to gain from it. Be in a circle because you really love these people. Because for someone like me, I always know when people are in it for what they can accumulate or what they want. No, be a true lover of people. Love people with a sincere heart. Let it be shown that I care for you and I care about the circle. And then it will affect your business. Because if you look at business landscape, the best people that will help you sell your business are the network you have first.
That's it.
They will be the one that will talk about it. They'll be the one that will say, oh, I know of somebody. They'll be the one that will refer you and all. And not to say, when I started my career in the United Nations, right? I was very much saying that I want to get into the UN in 10 years of my career. In 10 years. But I got into United Nations within 1 year, 8 months of my career.
Wow.
After I finished my service. In fact, that was where I started my career from. And how did that happen? Something that was supposed to be my future goal became the now. Because there was somebody I used to help back then who was in my circle. And I didn't just like him. I loved him for who he is. So I always try to support, let him know that I'm here not because of the money or you're boxed up, but I'm here because I want to give you value. And when the opportunity came, he just mentioned me in the room and said, I have this guy. I think it would be good to come on board. Within a twinkle of an eye, less than 2 months or 3 months, I got into the UN. What am I trying to say? The people who are in your life would always know that if you come with value, they will always want to reciprocate. So in the process of building, your positioning yourself, there is the law of reciprocity. That law is a fundamental law that can never be broken. So this is one aspect people must always look out for. We must always look out for you. What circle am I in? And how do I make this circle the best of the time? So I think this is actually very important. Your network, is quite very important. Being a salesperson is quite very important to position yourself, and also your digital footprint. I know time might not permit us, but it is essential that in this modern age, let people see what you are. Nobody will blow your trumpet for you. You would always tell people what you have by yourself.
Yeah.
So these are some of the strategies that I think would be important for people
to
position themselves.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I think this is just it for me. You've hit really, really good points, especially the where you said being in the right network, being in the right. I'm always an advocate of, collaborating, being in the right relationships and all of that, and recently I had an experience, that actually helped me to have a rethink of what you've just said. And for those of us who are not in Nigeria, we're in the United Kingdom, maybe in the United States of America, or maybe in Canada, or somewhere outside of Nigeria or something, I've noticed this particular trend. And this just me adding to what you said. I've noticed that a lot of us, I don't know if I should call it imposter syndrome or a bit of low self-esteem, when we get to the space of where we have the locals, all right? Those of us who live in the United Kingdom would understand what I'm saying. When we get to this place where we have the locals, a lot of us feel that we don't have so much to give. Like there is this imposter syndrome that comes in and then says, you're just coming from Africa, you don't know how, things are being done here. Sit down, you learn, blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, you're just there, muted. You're not able to contribute to, stuffs, maybe in your place of work or maybe in your community. This is an opportunity to scale up and say, irrespective of the environment I found myself, I've got something that everybody needs to learn. Everybody needs to hear me. People need to know me. I need to blow my trumpet, just like Emmanuel said. When you find yourself in meetings, I'm of that opinion. I think I learned that from Edward. Wherever I get to, I speak out and contribute intelligently. Even if it's just few lines, I must let my voice be heard. And I think this is something that will help us position ourselves, for a scale up. All right. It makes you heard. It makes people know your worth. It makes people know what you carry on your inside. So I'm going to, leave the floor open for anyone who wants to share their journey from point A to B. How were you able, so that Emmanuel can catch, some breath and maybe take a sip or take water or something. So I'm throwing this up to everyone in the call. You want to share your experience with us, how you were able to position yourself for an opportunity. Maybe you were not even expecting the opportunity to come, and but you positioned yourself rightly and you got it. I want somebody to share. Blessing, okay, yeah, I can see Blessing's hand raised up. Blessing, please unmute, and probably you're just on your camera and let's see your beautiful face. That's Blessing.
Hi, Shakwa. Hi, Shakwa. Thank you, Shakwa. Thank you, Femi. This is so good. I'm learning a lot this morning. Rosiba, my brother, thank you so much. This has been very insightful. I just feel the need to share about my own personal journey, how I scaled up in my career, especially just focus on the career perspective. In my career, I got to a point as an international development leader, just to say that I work in international development. And my specialty is to build economic growth in areas that have suffered any kind of disaster, either by conflict or natural disaster. And so I had done this in Nigeria for a couple of years, about 7-8 years. And I decided that this skill that I had was relevant to the world. And I needed to scale and add a few more countries to it. At the time, I wasn't even thinking about the whole world, but I decided. And so I used the framework, which I have used twice now, but I documented this framework because I do not want to be an accidental success. So if I succeed at something and I do not frame it and I cannot replicate it, it means that it did not happen. So I decided to frame this so that I can use it again. I have used it twice. So I'll share that very briefly. It's an acronym for RISE, R-I-S-E. RISE, R-I-S-E. So the first part of it, so before I go into that, this idea of scaling up must be rooted in a passion and a desire to be more, to be all that God has created us to be the best version of that person that God has created us to be. And also in the ability to want to continuously grow. Just say that I have to be better than tomorrow. And I have scriptures for those things. So better than tomorrow, the path of the righteous shineth brighter and brighter unto the perfect day. And I am always growing. So back to the acronym, right? So the first one is realizing your goal. Realizing your goal. Second one is imagine your vision. Third one, strategize your plan. And the last one, establish systems. So I'll just share a brief example on each of them and let someone speak. So what was my goal? One, my goal was very clear. I want an international job. Yes, I couldn't, at that time, I was living in Nigeria. I didn't have work permit in any other country, and I wanted an international job. So that was my clear goal. It was measurable. When I got an international job, paying me in foreign currency, and I'm working across 2, 3, 4 countries, then I know I have gotten what I wanted. So I was very clear about it. And because of that, I wasn't going to take anything else apart from that. Secondly, next thing I did was I had a clear vision of it. So I wanted to know who else has this kind of job. I went on LinkedIn. I looked out at other people's profiles. Who else is doing something like that? Because at that time, around me, I didn't really have that many examples. So I went out to look for the examples, and I made screenshots of their career, their expertise, their skills. And just based on looking at those, I developed a plan. I did an audit of what I had at that time. What was missing? What did I need to learn? What did I need to upgrade? What do I need to upskill? What should I do differently? And I began to implement that plan. And to make sure that that plan worked, the last part, which was about my system, my support systems. Support systems are so powerful. So I made sure that I had the right coaches, the right mentors. I explained to my spouse what I wanted, articulated it clearly, I made sure that we're aligned. And then I made sure that the people I surrounded myself with understood it. So if you want to make ego moves, you don't sit around with ducks. And even if at that time, all of us are ducks, we decide that we want to make ego moves, we start to shift and pivot with the new skills that will take us in that direction. And so I started making those moves. So my support systems were there. My plan was written clearly. And then even in the plan that I have, I was not planning for the short term. So I knew that I would start with a few countries, but I am going global. Okay. And because I'm not running a sprint, I'm doing a marathon. I prepared myself for failure, for obstacles, for injuries, for whatever will come my way. I prepared myself for potential setback, and also prepared myself for victory, because anytime I got victory, I celebrated. Anytime there were failures, I saw it as another learning point that I had not documented that I was now going to work on. And eventually I was looking for something regional in Africa, but I got something global where I worked across 25 countries. And even at this stage, I'm planning my next expansion move over a group, and I'm using the same framework. And so that's just the framework that I use, and I wanted to share that with everyone. So thank you.
I think that's deep blessing. Well done. Global blessing. Well done. Thank you very much for that insightful experience you've just shared. I still want to throw it open to everyone. Do we have anyone who wants to share? Edward, I see you. Can you please unmute, turn on your camera, and let's hear your experience of how you were able to position yourself for an opportunity that you want to share with us. Okay, go ahead, please.
Phenomenal. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And honestly, I've been learning from the amazing people here. Rotiba, I see you. Blessing, thank you so much also for sharing with us. And Shokwe and Femi for putting this platform together. I mean, reaching a lot of people and, inspiring lives. So thank you very much once again. I came to the UK in 2022, and having worked as a consultant, also certified management consultant and all of that, I had the opportunity to even support National Development Plan in Nigeria. So I had kind of, been at par with certain people. But coming to the UK, my reality was, it was like, your hair is like, oh, boom. You just, like gravity was, you were floating in space. Like gravity was just hits you. And you just know that, okay, the rules have changed. And like I tell people, and you can't judge the rule of handball with basketball in as much as you use your hand to play both of them. So I needed to learn the ropes here. I needed to know how to position myself. And, like Rotiba said, I'm going to steal that, I wanted more. People say that when life give you lemon, you make lemonades out of it. I don't ask for lemonade. I throw it back, and I ask for apple. I ask for.
I like that.
I ask for pear. It's what you want. And so I started asking myself. I kept on going at it. How I was applying for jobs, in Nigeria, and my profile and all of that. But I wasn't getting traction. I was just getting all those unfortunately love letters. You can just take over your day and everything. But here is the thing: nobody wants to be the reason why their family is experiencing a lesser version of what they are capable of. So I just said, no, this has to stop. And I had to make a decision and raise my standard. Though I had a job that I was doing then as a customer service advisor, while I was still managing other projects virtually, but I told myself that there is more. I can do more. So if what I've been doing before is not working, my strategy is it's not working. I need a better strategy. Like Emeka, one of my friends, would say, you don't know what you don't do. And if you're running 250 miles an hour, or I don't know how many speed you want to go, even if you're going fast, you can't get your destination as long as it's not the right direction. So I told myself that, I'm not getting the results. I'm not hitting it. What is going on? And just like a hero's journey, you start a journey. Life happens as it hits you. The next thing, you need a guide. You need somebody who has gone ahead, who will show you the ropes. So I just thought to myself, okay, who is the project manager? Who's my friend? Or who do I know in my circle? And somebody's name just came up immediately in my spirit. And I'm like, let me reach out to this person. So I reached out to him. I showed him my CV. He just laughed. He said, Nigeria will make you used to shine. You are just Bokoniche. You're not all weather. You're here. Now you've come here. You can't be all weather. I'm telling you. And I was like, but I have this, but I've done this experience. I was living in my past, the glory, and like, you want to take that away from me? I was feeling bad. And that's how most people feel. Yes, I worked for this. Is my sweat. This is my result. And he just said that you want a job, or you want to stick to your ego. You want to stick to your pride. I'm like, if this pride is paying the bills, I would have stuck with you, but it's not paying the bills. So I had to just eat the humble pie. I took out whatever was not representing me. Essentially, as a consultant, your role as a project management is a universal skill. Whatever you're doing, you're managing projects. So I just saw that the common denominator is, irrespective of the job title, it was a project management role. So I just brought it out. I sieved out the skill, and really we're just project manager, but they give us title because of our ego. So they call you a big name and all that. So I just called myself that, and I streamlined my story there. Now, I couldn't have done all of that if I didn't speak to somebody who has gone ahead to help me raise my standard and not guess my way through it. He did in such a way that I did it precisely. He told me how to tell my story and all of that. And that's how I was able to raise my standard. I was able to, become that person that can attain that result. And I think gaining influence generally is becoming that person. Most of us have not become that person. For career, it's like telling your story in a certain way. It's like showing up in a certain way. But if you have not become that person, you are kidding yourself. Because if you even show up and start behaving the way you used to behave, like, you're using the rules of handball to play in basketball, they'll be blowing the whistle for you. Foul, foul, foul. And most of us are just been fouling. Sorry if there's a word like that. It's just foul, 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 because we have not played by the new rules. So the rules have changed. I changed my own rules. I adopted to the new rules of the environment I wanted to play in. And that's how I was able to get to that, that position. I think got unfortunities and all of that, but I kept on iterating. Eventually, I got the kind of job I desire, working in one of the top 10 universities, as a project manager in the UK. And it was phenomenal. And I believe that, like Rotiba said, Blessing has said, you just need to, for me, I'll use the word raise your standard. Okay? Like you expect nothing less from a higher standard, right? Because if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always gotten. So raise your standard, and like, I'm no longer going to accept this level of thing from myself or anybody anymore. This is the result I want. Refuse saying that I will make lemonade out of what? That's a false mindset. It makes you, in fact, Rosipada said, mediocrity. It makes you stay in that level that you are made for more, but you'll never get there if you don't see yourself as that. So raise your standard and get a guide. A guide could be somebody's book. It could be tons of videos you're watching on YouTube. It could be speaking with Emmanuel, for instance, send him a DM, by the way, on LinkedIn or wherever, and ask him a lot of things. It could be speaking to Blessing or speaking to Shokwe, who has a lot to offer. And for me, that is one of the things. A guide would shortcut the journey of 10 years. You can get it through conversations. So that is one of the things I would say. Thank you so much for having me here. I don't want to take so much of your time.
Amazing. Thank you, Edward. Something I got from what you said again was adaptability, So you brought the skills from Nigeria, but you were able to adapt into the new system. You were not holding on to how you used to do it back then, but you were able to tweak it to the new environment. And that's one of the skills that every one of us must develop to scale up. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Edward, for your amazing contributions. If you still have any contribution, or you want to share your experience, we still have some time to do that. Segun Benson, are you ready to share with us? Just unmute and then briefly in 2 minutes before we go back to Emmanuel. Over to you, sir. Segun Benson. Unmute and then you have the floor. But if you can't, we go on in the session. All right. So I think he's not ready. All right. So I'll go back to you now, Emmanuel. I think you've rested a bit, right, Emmanuel?
Absolutely.
I know how we can be talking. All right. So you and I know that scaling up requires more than just skills. We've just talked about adaptability, flexibility, communication, and all of that. I believe that it demands a shift in mindset and in habits. All right. And people often find themselves, stuck at a certain level, unsure of how to break through. And so in your experience, Emmanuel, what do you think are the habits or the mindset that helps individuals push, their past, how do I put it now? Their past and current limitations, just to achieve the new level of success that they want? What do you think are the habits or the mindset that will help anyone here or individuals, push past their current limitations and achieve the new levels of success, that they desire?
All right, thanks, Moshokwe. I think, like I said, is always a mindset thing, and I always I've also been a very good student of a mindset change, right? And mindset is everything. So I just want to say one point that I scribbled down quickly. I just looked through my screen is be grateful but never settle. All right. It's a mindset thing. Out of the abundance of the mind is what we become, right? So I feel being grateful, gratitude is one mindset shift that people must always have, to get to the next. Because if you are never grateful for the little you have done or how much you have even put into what you are right now, you will never attain some of the bigger things you want, right? So I always say it's having the mindset of never being complacent, but always wanting for more. And if you have that mindset, right, be it a business person wants to expand. A career person wants more to come to him, right? Then number two is, I always tell people, value makes you valuable. It's It's always a mindset thing. Value makes you valuable. What kind of value do you want to put on the table that make them say this is the person that can do this job or that can do this business? I know. I'll give a quick example, right? Before I became the head of financial manager with the global project I am right now, I was a junior staff, right? And I was looking at that position up high. I began to do things that would make them feel my impact at that level. So before you get to the level you want to, you must begin to grow in that level and operate at that level for you to attain that level. You don't work in that level when you get there, but you must always show yourself that you have the capacity to go there. And that has worked for me as a career person, right? It has given me the opportunity to say, I want to step into this shoe, just like Alan Blessing said, right? I want to get into this level. These are the things I want to do. And one thing that has helped me so much as a career person is I don't meet thoughts with thoughts. I make thoughts with words. I write down everything as I want it to be, how it should be, and all. Writing is a mindset shift for me. When I write it down, it's as 80% done. I put 20% work and I get it done. So another thing I want people to have as a mindset is life is in seasons. The fact that you're not where you want to be right now is that there's a season where you will get there. And until that season comes, you must live in the current season you have right now. And it's the mindset of greatness. A mindset shift generally. And how does this happen? Celebrate milestones, appreciate the process, let people know about what you are building. I had a friend who always say, I don't want to tell people about my ideas. And I tell him, if you want to be great people share their ideas.
They share.
Nobody can take your idea from you if God has given it to you to be, right? So I always share ideas. I always share the mindset. I mean, even till recently, late nights, 11 p.m. or thereabout, I was still sharing some of my global vision with Edward. I was telling him some of the things we have planned and all that. Okay, we are done about 4 countries now, Germany, Canada. We had also had our Design Your Life event in London. I said, I want to go to more countries. So I began to write down. And funny enough is the fact that I'd written down some of these things about 6-7 years ago. And I begin to look at them every day. That alone is a mindset shift for me. And lastly, I'm going to say another important priority that is going to be important for people to have as an attitude is never judge your time with another person's clock.
That's it.
Somebody is there today doesn't mean you would not get there. Understand the ropes. Is their season, is their time, let them have it. But till you get there, support those who are there already. This is one thing that has helped me personally. People would say, if you want to tap into the blessings, you have to be close to the blessing, right? And if God has done it for your neighbor, of course, it's the neighborhood. So you are the next in line, and this is always a mindset shift for me. I always have the mindset that till my hand gets what I want, right? I would always support and appreciate and celebrate those who have been there and are doing it at the moment. And that's why some of my mentors, Nia Desoya, when they say, "Oh, Emmanuel, I am coming to Abuja to do something," I said, "I'm ready to you." "Oh, Emmanuel, I need to do X, Y, Z," and "Oh, I'm ready to you." When Jimmy Tewe came to Nigeria to do an event, I said, "I would help you put X, Y, Z together." Recently, we started talking about an event I also want to expand into the US. And it was offering me some great level of support to come into the city. Why? Because that is the mindset of great people. So great people have the mindset that if you are in that circle, if you bring the energy of value, you always get the same thing back.
That's just it. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Sev, share your ideas. Speak out, speak out, speak out. We have this mindset of this African mindset. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell them. If you tell them, they will carry your idea. They will steal it. It's just a backward mentality. So sometimes you need to share. Of course, there are things that with discretion, there are some things that you need to hold back to yourself. But let's cultivate that habit, that mindset of sharing, of communicating, of speaking to the right people, not people who will run, the right people. That's it, the right people. So thank you so much, Emmanuel, for that powerful mindset that you've just shared with us. And please, if you have questions, please you may want to drop them in the chat room so that we can attend to all of your questions before we go today. So for those of you who are just joining us, this event is brought to you by the Leading Tribe. It's a community of people who desire to take the lead and become a reference point of excellence to the society in the areas of family, career, business, and their spiritual lives. It's also a community that helps people to navigate the complexities of daily life's challenges with superior and prevailing knowledge through conferences, through webinars, just like we're having it, and through hangouts, physical hangouts. And we've been gleaning from Emmanuel Rotiba, a transformative leadership architect. So back to you, Emmanuel. Back to you. Let's talk about building a strong personal and professional brand. I know that in today's world, your personal or professional brand is one of your most powerful assets. And so whether you're an entrepreneur or you're an executive or a thought leader, your brand determines how people perceive you and the opportunities that comes your way. So my question is, how can individuals develop a compelling brand that truly attracts the right audience? How can individuals develop a compelling brand that truly attracts the right audience?
Okay. Can we make contributions? Yes.
Okay, it was actually for Emmanuel, but you can make a contribution, sir.
Let Emmanuel go ahead with it. I'm waiting. I will wait. Let Emmanuel make his contribution.
Go ahead, sir, and then Emmanuel will come. You can go ahead since you've unmuted. Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Shokwe. Okay. I think I just lined up that question.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm so happy, Oluwabori, for this kind of environment which you have created. And honestly, I'm excited. We never had this beautiful experience when I was in England. And I'm so happy that a group of youth like you are making this wave in the diaspora and in other parts of the country. Now, let me just try to divert your attention a little to the community which we have in Nigeria. If we all can have this same zeal which you are displaying right now to transport that same skill to the Nigerian environment, I'm sure there will be a tremendous development. Now, let me give you my experience in this area. Number one, I have always had a desire to be a blessing to the communities in Nigeria, particularly the grassroots people. I've had a plan of making sure that people can become better than they were. But I discovered a serious obstacle in the environment. And that is a principal issue in any community you belong and where you want to display the power of God or your professional skill. There will always be obstacles, either from the spiritual or from the physical. Get it right. Is a guarantee. Now, but for you to make a breakthrough, it is essential for one to be able to scan the environment and know who are the principal powers and influencers. Without having that knowledge, one could be working against the right people or working against himself. So I did the survey of the environment, got to know the kind of people in the community and how one can politically penetrate into them. and have the setting. So for a long time, I was having this attitude. Excuse me, please.
Sorry.
Until just of a sudden, the Lord created an opportunity. And I was saying, I need a plot of land, or just 3 plots or 5 plots. But somehow, one way or the other, I was blessed with 12 plots of land. So then, setting up, what are the things that will make these people benefit from this program? What are the significant things that can be done? I was asking questions. And while I was asking, at the same time, I was connecting with the Spirit. The Spirit of God was giving me understanding. Okay, now I got the understanding that I should go into agri-food production. That is, agricultural commodities which can be cultivated for a period of 3 months and you make money. Most of the people in the community don't know about that. They have no understanding of that kind of thing. So, and I started to mobilize them. First of all, for training. Because most of these rural people, some of them have the old-time concept of doing things. But they need a transformation, a reorientation into new things. So, but I was mobilizing them. Some of them were feeling reluctant. They did not know how to approach it. Excuse me. And to God be the glory.
Wow.
They caught the fire.
Wow.
Now, we have
amazing.
We now have what we call Agri-Food Business School for Farmers.
Amazing.
In which case, many of these people will be able to learn to cultivate agri-food products and then process what they produce, and we teach them also about marketing.
Thank you, Daddy. So, thank you so much. Thank you. Because of our time, I'm just trying to manage. We're just trying to manage the time. Thank you so much for that amazing experience you've just shared with us. And one thing I've learned, I picked from what you've just shared. By the way, everyone, that's my dad. He's 75 years old, and he has just shared his experience with us, So thank you so much, Daddy. I just learned from you. Understanding the dynamics of your environment is very key to scaling up. And that's what I've learned from that. Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
You can mute now. Thank you.
Okay.
Manuel, so sorry, for that break and the cut in. I'm sure he didn't know that you were about to talk when he bumped into you. So do I repeat?
I honestly got a lot from Daddy. Daddy, thank you so much. That was timely also. So it's part of what we need to listen to and hear. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Manuel. So I think we want to go back to the question. So I think I was asking you that, how can individuals develop a compelling brand that truly, attracts the right audience? Yes.
Okay. I think I summarized my thought process. Thank God I've had people we've always brainstorm about the process of career, personal brand, and all. And I think one thing about personal branding is 3 things killing, right? The power of knowledge, consistency, clarity of purpose, right? And understanding your audience. And I'm going to break it down from the point of clarity. I have a model I use for not just my brand, right? But everything I use. It's called the ICAR model. I call it the real ICAR model anyways, even though it has been what I call it. It has been one model I try to populate anytime soon. God gives me the grace. The real ICAR model. And ICAR stands for Identify, Clarify, Action, and Results, right? And I think for everything we do as individuals or career professionals, we must always, have some level of identify and clarify the areas where we want our niche to be and how we want to dominate and how much of how much of this we really want. And I think this is primarily really key, because without clarity, direction, even your past direction will be inconsequential. If you're not clear of where you are going to, you can't just be driving the wheel, and just keep moving without having a sense of direction, right? And I think it also applies to building your personal brand, knowing the things you really want to do. What do people know you for? Like I mentioned earlier, when I see people talk about my person, they say, "Oh, Emmanuel does leadership and transformation." Oh, yes, I do, but I do a lot. People don't know I'm a development finance expert. With about more than 10 years in the sector and all. I do a lot of grant management for the UN, for global organizations. I manage a lot of global funding and the rest of them. This is one aspect people do not know. And why do they just know about the leadership, the management, executive coach and all? Because that is what I desire to put out there as my personal brand. I do consulting on the side for a lot of local NGOs who ask me to be on their board and guide them through on how they can get funding from global donors and the rest of them, with a lot of success. But then people do not know that aspect, because that is not at the moment in my personal public brand. So I really feel that the point you come to is to identify what your niche is and why do you want to be there. Like I said, the reason that spurs my heart to come into this sector of transforming people, minds, organization, nation, and I call myself, like FD will call me, a nation builder, is because that is what my desire is. And that is what God has called me to become, or in my process. And I have always stuck with it, right? So you must understand this. Then understand your audience is very key. Who are the people who are going to listen to you? At some point, I was having a lot of issue. Who are my audience? Who do I need to speak to? Who am I appealing to? And then at some point, I was already thinking, how do I make money? Because I've been doing some of this stuff for a long time. And every time I try to say, okay, let me charge for it and all, I just feel like, I say the Holy Spirit telling me, why are you charging for the things I've given you? Some way, somehow.
Right? Like they're dragging those people who sing in church now.
You understand? You understand? So at some point, like I was telling a friend recently, I said, I always hesitate to put a fee. But I said, when I go abroad, or maybe to Germany, for instance, and all, I put a fee on my and people pay and all. I said, hey, but people are paying. This is it. People are responding. It's making sense. But the honest truth is, now I understand my niche, right? For the younger community, I try to do most of my engagement for free. For the people that would need to ensure that these people get services and all, I try to make a little fee out of it. And what am I trying to say is this: you must understand the market and the terrain where you want to operate in, and begin to work in that space. Lastly, is consistency. Without consistency, you will never get there. No matter how good your brand is, if you only show up once in a month,
is that from me or from?
So I said,
I think the network just took you out for some minute, but you're back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Is it better now?
Yes, it's better.
So, okay. Denzel Washington said something that has always stuck with me. He said, without consistency, you will never get there. And I think that for me is a very big statement. And why? A lot of us want to do a lot of things. Then we start. Then when the heat comes, we run. But to build a personal brand, you must consistently be in the face of the people that really need your services. You must constantly dish out value. I have a friend. She's in London. Temilade Salami. I don't know if you've heard about her. She does a lot of ecological and also ecological stuff in the space. And one time when she came for my event in Nigeria, when I had the event Forward, she was talking about her personal brand, right? And she said, it is not easy. Let's be very honest with ourselves. It's not easy maintaining a personal brand. That is what people never say, or never. It is not an easy feat because you have to be out there. And in this digital age, you have to either be shooting content, doing X, Y, Z. It's a lot of stuff. For me personally, I take it as a lot of trouble. But that is what the age we are right now is. The age of constantly showing up. How consistent are you as a value system? As a career person, how many times do you go on LinkedIn to drop your thoughts on LinkedIn to say, hey guys, this is me, this is my authority, this is what I represent. So that when people say, who is the best project manager that we can speak to, is the person who has shown up. They can say, oh, I'm going to speak to Edward because I've seen him so many times on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on this one, dropping nugget on how to be the best project manager in the UK, on how to be the best project manager in this and that. Oh, he has the community of project managers who they come together and all. So it is perceived value. And all. And before I conclude, something happened to me some time ago, right? I had a session with Fela Duto in Abuja when he came for an event. Then I took a picture with him, right? And then I posted it online. I'm trying to buttress the power of perceived value, right? And when I did posted him online, there was somebody who reached out to me on Instagram who wanted FD for an event, right? And then I said, FD lives in Lagos. It requires you getting into, flying down and the rest of them and all. I said, well, I can talk to him. The guy snapped. He looked at it, he said, if we can't have FD, can we have you? So, in a nutshell, he had looked at my personality with Fela Duto that says, I am in that community of people. If I can be in that community, I might as well have the same mindsets. So that has been one of the things that has helped me build a brand. And ever since then, like my friend will say, he said, when you meet people who are higher, right, have a presence with them. Your online presence is a big thing. And lastly, your digital footprint. Oh, is your digital footprint. You must be up and ready, showing everything as it should be. Like I would say, if you want to get into the next level, begin to operate at the next level from the lower level. And get so the same thing works for personal brand. To build your personal brand, let people see what you represent. They will only come to you if they know this is the niche you operate in and all. And that is what one very honest truth about it. So I really want to encourage us, even me, for those who can show up consistently. Consistency would save you a great deal. Will let people know that this is what you have and will solidify your authority in that space.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Consistency. Keep showing up. I think this word is for somebody here today. Keep showing up to scale up. Keep showing up to scale up. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I think there's a question in the chat room. It says, what are the key strategies for successfully transitioning and scaling up in a new industry without prior experience? Emmanuel, do you want to share that?
Okay, I just take 2 points and maybe somebody else can just maybe drop an idea.
Edward, you want to add your voice to that? After Emmanuel, Emmanuel, please go ahead.
I think Edward is the best person.
Okay, Edward, let's hear from you. What are the key?
I'll just drop 2 points. Okay, I just dropped 2 points. I think are very important for people who want to get into a very new niche. First of all, I think like I always say, you can never take out the place of mentorship. Look for people who are already in that sector, right? Who you can get the right information from. First of all, right? I have somebody in my circle right now who is also trying to transition, into in a completely new sector. And I've always said this, that I say you have to network with the people, in that sector. It could be from a place of learning. For instance, volunteering for people. A lot of people think volunteering is for people who are coming out of school. No, it's not true. Even as somebody who has built some 10, 15 years experience, right? If you are getting into a new niche, you must let the people who are already pro and masters know that you are willing to learn the rope of the system. And you don't have to be as, hey, I'm big. Like Edward said in the last time, I want to pick a clip from what he said. He said he had to drop some of the, let me use the word jargons and everything. You patch here. And you have to specialize. This is what I want to be known and called. This is me. So go straight. And I have a friend who is currently in the US. She used to live in Nigeria and she's in the US right now. When she got there, she was telling me, Timmy, he said, right now I am volunteering at food banks. I'm volunteering at different places. Why? She said, I need to build a network of people that can now begin to receive my service. The same thing, someone who is transitioning. If for instance, you are transitioning into the product management, when there are product management conferences, seminars, you build this in there and begin to connect. Secondly, you could begin to ask for recommendations. I've seen that there was a study on LinkedIn that showed that 80 or 90% of the jobs in the world are by recommendations. Oh, meet this person. I know him. He does X, Y, Z. Just that single statement alone can be a life changer for you.
That's it.
Recommendations. Oh, even on LinkedIn, I've had people who come to my DM to say, please, can you give me a recommendation on LinkedIn? Not because I'm the best, but because adding a voice to somebody's personality could change the trajectory for them completely. So you must always ask for recommendations. You must always get into the right network that can help you. I think I will open it up for Mr. Eddie. So.
Thank you. So before Edward talks, thank you very much, Emmanuel, for what you've just said. I want a female to talk. Buki, you are in the call, and you also have this experience. I know that you came from the financial management angle of the sector, just like Emmanuel is also an accountant or something. So you want to share with us how you were able to transition, especially coming from Nigeria to the United Kingdom. Can you please share with this person?
Yeah, thank you, Mo. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, everyone that has spoken today. This has been a really knowledgeable and insightful session for me. So for me, yes. When I was in Nigeria, I was a chartered accountant. So not used to be, I'm still one. But, but honestly, yeah.
Pounds is talking, pounds.
Yeah, so getting in here, I started seeing new things. So I was just trying to fit in, get into that space. I was looking for a finance clerk, assistant, just something to just get into the finance industry. And so it was a bit challenging. It was hard. And so I decided to look around, when you move to a new place, you want to transition, you want to be self-aware. I look at myself. I also, I am culture aware as well. Then industry aware. I was like, what is happening? What is that thing I need to just key into? Then I started hearing about tech here and there. And I said, okay. So, learning, Emmanuel has mentioned about mentoring. So your mentor could be anybody that is an expert, right? So there was my niece that she was into product management, and I said, you're making enough money. She was still working in Nigeria then, and she's doing 2 jobs in the UK as a student. I was like, what are you doing? Tell me about it. So she came to visit herself and a friend, and they were both talking, product managers and all of that. I said, okay, guys, tell me, what should I do? And they said, if you can do projects, you don't need to do products, I think project management would be better for you and all of that. So I said, okay, what do I have to do? They started telling me about some programs and trainings I can go on, and I don't really even have to do go to school, get masters, because I've gotten the experience right out. So I was like, okay, let me look at it. I went on Instagram and started searching, and I saw 2 companies providing trainings like that. So I decided to register for both, and you won't believe it. I just finished that training. It was a 6-month training. And the first job I got was into the NHS project manager. Because, I've worked as a finance manager before. So I have that management experience. So it was just about, like Eddie said, removing those bits and just making it make sense, if you get what I mean. So we started, leveraging on that. And my first interview was just there. They were really impressed, and I got hired. So that was how I moved into into project management, and I've changed jobs now into the health sector. I moved from there into local authority doing project management. So it's all about being aware, understand what you want, what do you want to do, and be good at it. And after that, I went on to write my Prince 2, just developing yourself, even when you've at the end of the day transitioned. You don't want to just be there. You want to keep going and learning. So for me, that was what really helped me. And
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that experience, Buki. One thing I think I took from what you've just shared is you were able to communicate and find the right network to express yourself. Sometimes we need to be vulnerable. We need to be vulnerable and say, come, I need this skill. I need your help. What's going on? How are you guys doing it? I want to make money, So I think that was what I was able to pick from what you said, and you got it. Because sometimes when we don't speak out, we don't get help. So that's for me, what I picked from what you just shared, Buki. And you were able to go all out to acquire knowledge, not just getting the job, you still acquire knowledge to add to what you already have, with you. So thank you very much. I think that question has been answered. Edward, you want to add one or two things just to chip into what, Edward and Emmanuel Buki and Emmanuel has said, so we can start rounding up. Edward, you want to say something?
So thank you very much for having me again. I've learned so much here just through the conversation. But to put context, I'm not sure I got the exact point or context they were speaking on. I know we talked about branding and a lot of things.
Yeah, there was a question. Somebody asked a question: how do I move or transition into a new industry in order to scale up? Right, the person wants to scale up, but the person is trying to see if moving from this industry to another industry would help them scale up. Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much. I think that's a very practical question, and most people need to understand this, because when you understand it, then you know that you can detach your emotions and feelings from it. I learned something from Bukola's story. She said that people were doing products, but they told her that you don't necessarily need to do products. Based on where you're coming from, you can do projects. And while project management is what I'm into, it's not everybody that needs to do project as well.
No,
so, honestly,
that's it.
Yeah. So I interviewed somebody for a podcast recently, and the person said that own your experience, own your skill. Don't reduce your degree because you feel you want to fit into a role. So I'll say that first. However, there's a caveat here. The caveat is that people employ you for your skill, not your degree. Yeah. And so sometimes your degree boxes you in a space. Okay. And you feel as though, no, because it's this degree, I must work in this environment. I must do something that has to do with this degree. No. Your degree has built certain skills in you. I studied physics in my first degree. I have an MBA. I'm doing a doctorate right now. But it's not physics that started it. Still, physics built my analytical mind. It built my problem-solving skills. So the question here is that what skill have you built over time? Success leaves clues. If you ask people who have gone ahead, you can trail your own step backwards. So you ask yourself, what skills do I have? Yeah. So what skills do I have? And you list all the skill, not the degree. Skill. Most people don't understand what is. You don't write skill on our CV. We don't know that what it really means. Negotiation. I was having a chat with a lady in a session a couple of days back, and she said that I just graduated. I don't have experience. I've not worked anywhere. And I'm like, okay, every Nigerian probably have sold something. Emmanuel said he sold pure water. I'm like, who would have thought? And he's speaking in Germany. And I said, okay, lady, you sold something. She said, yes, I was doing a business. I said, how did they contact you? I don't want to know what you sold. How did they contact you? Say online. I said, do you know that you worked in an e-commerce business? She's not like, oh, yes. And she had done it for 5 years. I said, yes. And I said, no, you were talking with people. You were organizing both the DJ, the event manager, the stage designer. I said, all of those things. I can deduce negotiation skill. I can deduce problem solving skill. I can deduce planning skill. I was like, skill is not based on your geographical location, that the negotiation skill in Africa is different from negotiation skill in US or Canada. No, you have negotiation skill and you should be proud of it. So I said, you have negotiation skill, you have all of this. So now the thing is this. One of the things that stops people's mind is that they are bent on the title. So it's not about the title. I'm emotionally detached from whatever I'm doing, let the data speak to me. So if you're somebody who have done, maybe it's business analysis, for instance, then you can go into business analysis. If somebody who have done something regarding to marketing, hey, you can go to marketing. So this is what you need to do. First of all, try to know the area your skill can fit in, and don't be emotional about it, because the reason you're getting a job is so that you can be happy. When I say I can pay bills, when you pay bills, you'll be happy. You can be able to do the things you want to do without having to check how much is your balance. So it's happiness. So do not think that the title of the job is boxing you. No, your goal is happiness. So if business analysis is the vehicle that will take you there, then enter the vehicle. There are certain that you come down from that vehicle and join a flight. That's now something else. So do not be emotionally attached to a title. No, your skill is what they hire you for. And so that's what I would just say. Understand, what skill do I have? Where do they employ people with this skill? Or what environment do they work in? Then you can now know, maybe the bucket is business analysis or product management or project management or whatever. It may not even be this one. Maybe what's it called? Tech sales. That's another thing people don't know. Tech sales. I know. Yeah. So because engagement, you can speak to people. You just communication. That's just the whole thing. If you have done customer service, you can go and do tech skill. Tech sales. Yeah. And people don't know this thing, and they pay them by commission. You make commission on the sales. You make your base salary. People don't understand. So please, you just need to do some level of skill mapping, skill assessment. That is the first work. If you do that very well, then you can now know the vehicle that is taking you to your happiness. So let me not overlook this issue, but that's what I'll say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edward. You know what you just said resonates so well with me.
Yeah.
Going back to our gist yesterday.
Yeah.
I was thinking, do I share? Do I not share that? Okay, I'll just share. Okay. So I had a scale up recently in my career. Yeah. And after that, I've gotten the job and all that. So I got a call again, and then the manager called and said, Mo, we noticed that you have the skill. It's so loud. The skill is so loud about you.
Wow.
And we think that we need to add to what we are putting out for you. All right. We want you to take up this other role. So
wow.
It's a role, and then it's an added role again. So
oh my God.
Was a skill up. That's the skill up. Skill up. So it was a scale up for me, because this is what you hired me for. But at the end of the day, you saw that I have a skill, I have a personality that can fit into this other one. Yes. And then it was added for me. Would you mind, this white people, would you mind if you can take, you're asking, excuse me, is it going to affect my money? Yes, please add it, I'll do it. So it just buttressed what Edward said, that we need to take off our mind from the role and focus on developing the skill.
Exactly.
When you have the skill, a skill could just be as simple as being personable, being friendly.
Yes.
That could be what you need to scale up.
Sorry, right? What you just said now, when I asked my manager why, and he was just telling me rather, this is, out of 100 and how many people that applied, you emerged, and he said that you were very personable. I was like, wow, who would have thought? And some people just be thinking, oh, I need a certification. Oh, I need another experience. I need this, I need that. And I'm like, can you imagine just personable, that you can relate and people can connect with you? That is just the icing on the cake. The topping that an additional topping of your. Guys,
exactly.
I'll connect your grace of double scale up.
Yes, so take it.
Thank you.
I tapped to it too,
Oh, yeah. Take it, Emmanuel. Take it. Everyone take it. All right. So I will just, because we're rounding up very soon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we have another question? No. Just take one or two, and then we're rounding up so that everybody can go and rest for the weekend. And so, Emmanuel, we all know that success is really a solo journey. It's that's very clear. And like I said in the church some days ago, that collaboration is now the new competition. The right connections and collaboration can open doors that skills cannot open. All right. However, many people struggle with networking effectively. So how can professionals build meaningful relationships and leverage collaboration to scale up their influence and success. How can professionals build? We have a lot of professionals in this room. How can these professionals build meaningful relationships? Because there are some of us who are introverts. We don't like to mingle. We don't like to make friends. We don't like to go out. We just want to be in our own cocoon, and do our things ourselves. All right. So how can these professionals build meaningful relationships and leverage collaboration to scale up their influence and success?
To be honest, truth, I think this is quite very timely, because even as at now, personally, we're trying to do something in Abuja, Nigeria, called the ABL, the Abuja Business Leader, just a pure networking session for people to connect and all. And I'll give you the background. So to answer your question, right, I think there are so many reasons why on how professionals could network. And first and foremost is to come out of the shell of thinking networking is a job, right? A lot of people, what prevents them from networking very easily is the mindset that, I would have to start talking and all. No, as simple as just 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you can network with people, and that changes everything all. And I'm going to say, you have to understand that you just have to speak to the areas of strength of the people you are meeting. For instance, I'll give you a quick one on what I do when I network. Some of the people who had registered for my event, right, when I was going, I just looked them up online on LinkedIn, who they are, what they are. They were shocked to know that I just said something about what they do or what they've done before, right? And that piqued a lot of interest in them. And now to date, since I came back, we've been exchanging pleasantries, talking about, it was a nice meeting you and XYZ. Why? I spoke to their area of strength. When you meet people, right, the first impression they want to see is, this person, I always want to take it as my place of power. How much I know about you, or how much I can talk about you, if I can. If it's a conference I'm going to and all, and there's a speaker I really have interest to meet, I go check up all the great things they've done before and see, okay, when you speak, because there's something about personality meetup. When two people of different personality meets, what will make the next person glue to you is the fact that you speak to the area of interest. Meeting people and exchanging cards is not networking. It is the old way of meeting. When people come to network and, give me your card, give me your card, give me your card. Even sometimes people I give my number, I've had, this is not coming from a place of pride, but it's coming from the place of
reality.
Of the reality, exactly, the span of my time. Not everybody that comes that we connect or meet at events that I really give the necessary attention to. But there are some people when we meet at events, I just feel I also need to connect with this guy. Because why? There is something he's saying that is sparking something in me. And if you spark on the first day, don't forget it. You will continue to spark up something and all. It will lead to, can you visit me in the office? Can we have a dinner? Can we have a connect? Can we do XYZ and all? So I'm going to say that people must always leave their box, open to say, when you meet people, speak to their area of value. If you meet a career professional who is into data analytics and who is high up there, making a lot of bucks of money and all, and it is something you really want to speak to, some of the good things he had done, or some of the areas of strength, or his area of value, right? And he says, yes, this is what I do. Then you ask questions. What can I do for you? Which is one of my key questions I always ask. What can I do for you in this next vision you're trying to build to help you become better? There is, like Cosmos Maduka said, there is nobody you tell that kind of statement that will not want you in their circle.
Absolutely.
Especially if you are growing into a circle and all. Then lastly, I want to talk about the power of complementing abilities. People want people who complement them, even the eyes and mighties, right?
That's true.
Even the eyes and mighties who are, all of these people have dealt with people who are HNIs, network individuals. I've been in their circle before and all. I told myself, I would never ask for maybe help me do XYZ, or I want to do this, or bring a problem on the first day with me. No, I will always ask them, what is your next level of impact or project? How do you think I can help you achieve those things? And instantly they connect with me. And To give you a quick example, there's somebody who is the current mandate secretary in Abuja right now, and she's always been, like a mentor to me and all. And every time she always wonder that I come with the value that this is the solution I can give to you that can help you achieve X, Y, Z. She never let me go since then. Always, Emmanuel, we need to do this. Emmanuel, we need to do this. Emmanuel, I need your brain. I need to pick your brain. Oh, I'm having some people coming from Harvard. After last year, some people came from Harvard to Nigeria and said, Emmanuel, you have to be in the room. That is the power. That is the power you can have when you speak to the place of value. So you must be able to free yourself to network, make it easy, make it very solo, make it very important. And of course, we all evolve. We all evolve. You must not always be who you've always been. To network in the right space and the right time, you must always evolve to set in that space to get the next and the right kind of people in your circle.
Wow. That was comprehensive. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I love what you said about not wanting to get most of the time, but look for a way to be a value-added person in your relationship. Give, always give. Sometimes it's not physical giving. It might be giving your intellect, sharing ideas. I just remember a one-to-one session I had with my line manager, and then she was asking me, Mo, is there anything you need help? Is there any problem you want to share with me? Blah, blah. I just told her I don't have any problem. What I just want to tell you is, please, what is it you're finding difficult? What is it you're finding difficult in your task? I was my line manager. And then I said, I want to offer myself to help, and this is outside of my work, but I'm glad to do it outside of work hours. And she looked at me. She was so amazed. Like, so do we actually have people who still think like this? Like, you want to help me, and that was it. It melted her heart, so we should learn to be value-added people in our relationships. It makes us attractive. It makes us well-positioned for opportunities, when you're always out there giving value. So we're going to be rounding up. Is there any other person who have a contribution or you have a question that you think we have not? I think somebody dropped a question, and that might be the end of the question for today. Somebody said, Mr. Emmanuel, you may want to share your model, the model you talked about. I think there was a time you talked about a model, and the person has been asking what model is it you talked about. So you want to share that model?
Okay, it's called the ICAR model.
Oh, okay.
Identify, clarify, action, and results. So I think I'll just drop it in the chat very shortly.
Good. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. So before you go, it is said that big changes often start with small and intentional steps. So if someone here, for example, wants to begin to scale up, whether in their career, whether in their business, in their influence, what is one practical action or step that they can take today to get them started on that journey? What is one or two actions or, just steps that they can take to get them to start that journey of scaling up?
I just say, know what your market is, know what your niche requires, and then understand the future of work. Right now,
the future of work.
I deliver the presentation sometimes at the conference on the future of work, and I said, for everyone who is a corporate professional, you must understand what the future of work of your sector is, and you must begin to gather the necessary resources and materials, and also the knowledge to position you in that space. So if you want to scale up, which is a form of growth, what does the future of work of your industry need? The future of work of my industry needs something different. Might be different from yours, but there's something that is very universal amongst all: technology. Technology is driving everything we are doing right now. So if you're not technologically driven, right, you might be left back. If it's AI tools, get it. If it's a particular knowledge, get it. If I need to learn how to use, like right now, I'm learning some AI tools for development. I am currently immersing in it. And the same thing I told my wife, I said, you have to get necessary tools to help you practice as a public health practitioner. If it's Power BI, if it's Tableau, if it's whatever it is, make sure you are getting the necessary tools that when they say who is the best in this sector, you can raise up your hand and say, I can offer that service. Because in our current world today, there are 1,001 people who are out there who have experience, but do not have necessary tools to evolve. So evolving simply means what is the future, and then you must always project into the future. In the next 5 years, with the skill and capacity I have now, will it be relevant? If it's a no, what will be relevant in the future that I need to do? Right? I need to go out after it right now when everybody has not even thought about it. I need to go and do this and do X, Y, Z. And now, like I was, myself and Edward always talk about, when you get all the tools, you don't get the tools to keep it for yourself. Let it out.
Let it out.
I'll pick up the Bible, right? It says, we are light. The only reason why people will know that it's light is because there's the significance of darkness.
Yeah.
And the significance of light will always show in darkness. When people are not even thinking about what level of skill that you can be done, you've gone 10 years ahead of them. You already have the tool and all. When the opportunity comes up, you are ready to take it up and not just start preparing. So you must be willing to evolve and all. Then lastly, to position yourself and to also be in that sector, you must also know something. You must be so appealing that people would want to come close to you. I find it as a very big tool. You know, like Edward said, you know, sometimes some of the things we think are skills are not something so big. You can just adapt them.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes I do what they call the RFT, the reflective thinking. Sometimes I go to a park, I sit down, I reflect. What do I need for the next 10 years to be relevant? I honestly do it. I sit down and ask myself, because nobody can know me, no matter how much of advice I get. You can't know me like I know myself. So I ask myself, am I positioned, if an opportunity comes right now, am I positioned to take it? So right now, nobody's talking to me. I'm just telling you what I do personally right now. I'm learning some tools. I'm learning I'm learning how to even do prompting. Let me put it that way. At the moment, how to do prompting, because there comes a time in the level of my consultancy and my skill, I will need to know how, because AI and the rest of the tools are taking over and shaping the dynamics of work right now. Yeah. So I saw a work recently that talks about a prompt manager, and I was like, what does this mean?
Wow, prompt manager.
Oh yes, prompt manager. I had a conversation with somebody, a top CEO in the telecom sector in Lagos, just in December. He said he's trying to hire an AI manager to manage all the AI tools in their office, just AI alone.
Wow.
So if they want to write any profile, any proposal, or somebody that can write with AI and adapt and do everything and put it together, the landscape of work is changing. People must be adapting and all. And like I said to people, there is nothing new under the earth. Everything under the earth has been there. Adaptability is the new deal. So we must adapt, position, and also be ready to evolve. But most importantly, set a digital footprint that people know that if they need this thing, they come to you. And let it be that your first impression, let it be that once they mention the list of people that can do XYZ, your top list. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Wow, what a session. Thank you so much for this amazing time of sharing. I don't think I can ever recover from it. If you've learned one or two things from this session, can you please drop a comment for our guest as he leaves? Can you just drop a comment for him so that I can read before he leaves the call? Thank you so much, Emmanuel. It's been an amazing time of learning and relearning and unlearning with you today. We celebrate you real good. Thank you so much. Please, if you know that you've been blessed, you've learned something, it's been worth your time, please drop an emoji. I want to see an emoji. Just give us something. Everywhere's quiet. Oh, thank you, Blessing. Thank you. I see the emoji. Thank you. Where's everyone? Where's Abigail? Thank you. Thank you, Maria. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So, yes, thank you all for joining this meeting. A feedback form will be sent across, and please kindly fill up and send back to us for review. Again, this event has been brought to you by the Leading Tribe, a community of people who desire to take the lead and become a reference point of excellence to the society and in the areas of family, career, business, and spiritual life. Thank you all for your presence today. I like to draw the curtain here, and I will say, see you next time, and God bless you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Edward. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you, Facebook followers. Thank you, Lativian. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Olayinka. Thank you, Oluwatosin. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. See you sometime. Thank you, Adeoti, Adeshola. Thank you, Anna Wish. Thank you, Dolapo. Thank you, John
And
Wale.
Adeoti is my wife.
Oh, wow.
All
We should have
right.
celebrated her. Thank you, Mrs. Adeoti. Oh my
joined us.
God. For releasing your husband on a busy Saturday. Oh my God. Thank you so much for the privilege to learn and to milk your husband today. God bless you real good. We celebrate you and your family. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you
Bye,
so
Emmanuel.
much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Yeah.
Bye.